Hi, you can call me Fairlane, Fair, or F. I've been in the US since 2013, but I've been writing scripts since I was in college. Actually, my very first gig was Tropang Trumpo.
Welcome sa nagbabalik na Battle of the Brainless! Sino ito?
I wrote for them for a short while. I did Marinela, Tabing Ilog, The Buzz. But my heart has always been in movies and books and comic books. I think they've mentioned I've written Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Chanax, but my favorite of all the script that I've written, not necessarily the best, but my favorite is Super Noipi.
Sandali, sandali, sandali! Lutan! Lutan! Lutan!
It's an adventure movie that was shown in Metro Manila Film Festival. Because my heart, my passion has always been that mythology, fantasy, supernatural. I've always loved that. And when I started writing here, that was the goal that I've set forth for myself, sort of the vision that I have. I want to share and impart a lot of our mythology to the world because, modesty and bias aside, I do think that we have some of the richest and the most beautiful mythologies and stories in literature in general. So it's Philippines in particular, but in general, Asia. I do recognize, though, that I think one of the things that we are not doing enough is glamorizing and modernizing a lot of our literature. If you take a look at how they did it for Bella and Edward, they were able to glamorize that vampires, that it became aspirational. It's because they modernized it, they made it younger so that people can relate to it a little bit more. They gave them very, very human problems rather than supernatural problems. And so that's probably the creative license that I want to take. I want to modernize a lot of our characters. I want to make it a bit young. I want to put some touches in there that will make them a bit more human rather than aswangs. So yeah, I want to glamorize our aswangs the way that they managed to do it with Bella and Edward. I want our aswangs to be as cool as the Hulk, the way Marvel did it for the Hulk. I want our mangkukulam to be as mysterious and as aspirational as Doctor Strange. And the novel Aswang is hopefully the beginning of that. I hope that it will become a strong start for me to be able to fulfill the vision that I've set out for myself for our literature, for Asian literature and for Philippine literature. Aswang is an illustrated novel. Actually, it was supposed to be released in July, but COVID happened, and so we put a stop on it. But the wheels are turning again. It's going to be it's going to be available in Amazon within this week, I think, or next week, and then we're going to start promotion next week. Aswang is a story of 5 kids, 4 of which are Aswang, and they came from the most powerful, the most feared, and the most respected family of monsters in Asia. Unfortunately, these 4 are not living up to the reputation of their families. They are just absolute black sheeps. They're just bad at being monsters, bad at being bad. They just can't get a grasp of how to be bad and how to be monsters. And so they were ostracized and kicked out and disowned by their families. So hungry, homeless, and broke, they came across this ad of a school that supposedly teaches or accommodates kids with special skills. What they didn't know is that it is actually a school for superheroes, and that's where their adventure begins. They can't even get a grasp of how to be monsters. Now they have to become superheroes. Temi is a visera or a manananggal, and as everybody knows, a manananggal splits their body in half during the full moon. They grow wings, magnificent big wings, and they fly and they hunt for humans to eat them for dinner. As everybody knows as well, though, manananggals are really females, and so when he was born, he was actually a disappointment to the family. Maiba naman, it's always the women that are discriminated and are unwanted, but in this lineage, the women actually reign supreme and the men are the ones that are treated as second-class citizens. But the worst thing is that he ended up being a vegetarian. The next character is Gust. He is a gumiho from Korea. He's actually a shapeshifter. And he has no problem with his skills. He can always shapeshift whenever he wants to. He just cannot shapeshift to the shape or the form that he wants to shapeshift to. He once tried shapeshifting to a dog after being pressured by his family, and he ended up shapeshifting to a rat. And he almost got killed by a trap. And then there is Min, who is a Maju or a witch from Japan. And he is just a smart, sweet, kind-hearted boy. And it is this kindness that actually deters him from tapping into his powers. He doesn't like using or taking advantage of other people. He doesn't like not being able to play fair. He feels like if somebody has no power, then he shouldn't use his power against them. Jackson, the last of the four, is a medium or a seance from China. And unlike the other four, he honed his talent, so he's very good at what he does. He stopped using it because he's just causing problems with his families, because he's a young guy, good looking. There's so many spirits that actually develop a crush on him, and so he's always being followed around, and he has an actual fan club in the spirit realm. And so that's why he stopped using his power. He refused to use his power anymore, and he was kicked out by his family. The one that brought them together, however, is Marian. She has no superpower, but she's super strong, super smart. He knows all martial arts, and he's the only one that can control these four young kids. Asian mythology has always been used in many horror movies in Hollywood. In fact, many Asian movies are actually horror, and rightfully so. We do have good mythology, as I've said, but there's so much to our mythology than just horror, and I want to be able to share that to the world. There's adventure, a lot of humor, depth, heart. And as I've said, that's what I want to be able to share to the world. And hopefully with this novel, I hope it's going to be a start, and we could reignite that desire. We could modernize our character and make it more relevant and relatable to our current market. So I'm going to read an excerpt of the book. This is almost right in the beginning. This is the first time we're meeting the character Temi, our very own Temi. So he's introduced to the world for the first time. Just keep in mind that this is written for the young people. So, like 15, maybe 15 to 20s. So the language is for them. There are some curses, and I won't edit myself. Okay, just wanted to put it out there. In the list of things Temi is thankful for, being born isn't one of them. Don't get him wrong. Whoever was the architect of his life did a damn good job at it. For one, he looks good. Actually, that's an understatement. He looks drop dead hot, like sizzling. The DNA combination of his Caucasian father and Filipina mother is the absolute shit. Like, he's got the hair of an angel, smooth like highway to heaven. His skin shines like glass, but puffs like clouds. He doesn't even wash them. He has brown, deep eyes that whisper spells of seduction to anyone who makes the mistake of looking at him. His lips are naturally plush, like perfectly molded lollipop. He has the shoulders that Chanel would die for, broad that frames his chest muscles. He's tall and graceful without even trying. He walks like he's floating and talks with the natural melody of a saxophone. But more than physical beauty, it's just his presence that lights up the room. He breathes happiness and makes people happy and fall in love. He is one of those irritating people that wakes up Instagram ready even before he brushes his teeth. But he's not arrogant, he's just aware. It's not just his looks though. He was born into royalty, quite literally. You mention their last name anywhere in the Philippines and you will see fear and respect crawl to people's nerves and eyes. Yep, fear and respect. Because his family is one of the most powerful monsters in the world. Certainly the most powerful Viseras, also known as Manananggal. Yes, Temi belongs to the very elite line of monsters that split their body in half during the full moon, grow wings, and eat human beings for dinner every full moon. It's not something they chose to become. They were all sort of born into it. Not a very pleasant thing to be born into, but his family was never the kind to whine and complain. They play the cards they are dealt with. But Temi was the ultimate test. And his family failed him just as much as he failed his family. You see, for thousands and thousands of years, Viseras have been women. Men are mere sperm donors, unwanted, unrespected. So when his little Willie peeked through his mother's vajayjay, his mother was absolutely disgusted, along with his entire family. He learned to deal with it, the disgust, the hatred, and the disappointment. He's learned to live with the fact that he was always going to be looked down upon by his own family. But his family doubled down in disgust when he inherited his father's palate and turned out to be a vegetarian. Oh, the horror! But still, it is his family, and families are supposed to stay together. So he just tried to get out of everybody's hair. And for the most part, he succeeded. So why is he homeless now, walking barefoot in this cloudy Wednesday afternoon in Green Lake Park in Seattle? Because he just turned 17. And his family told him that in about a year, he needed to breed to continue the line of Viseras. And Temi does not want to bring another manananggal into this world. And that's it. What follows are the events that would bring the four of them together in the school, and the adventures that they will go through to learn how to become superheroes. Thank you.